Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here, got another Master Duel video for you. Coming at you with another tournament report from the Deckmaster Cup. I have been playing in every single Deckmaster Cup that's been in North America so far, and for this last week, I came so close to finishing in top 16 again. I ended up getting 20th place with a record of 7-2. So yeah, I missed it by 4 spots this time. A little bit disappointing, but I'm still pretty proud that I was able to do pretty well with this deck again. I say again because I'm playing Snake Eye Yummy, which is the same deck that I made Top Cut with in the last Deckmaster Cup before the most recent one. However, I have made a couple of changes to the build here. I have taken out the Promethean Princess from the extra deck. I mentioned that in the last tournament report that I was already on the fence of whether or not I wanted to include her, because she's actually not crucial to the combo line. You'll see in at least a couple of these games what I typically do on a turn 1 combo line without Promethean Princess. It's not that different from what we were doing before. Instead, we are playing the Dark Magician of Destruction in the extra deck. And for our search target, we're playing the Magician's Souls. Okay, I'm going to answer the number one question right off the bat here, which is why no Dragoons, right? Because we could be playing the spell card, the Gaze of Timaeus, as our search target instead of Souls, and then we could summon Dragoons, adding another Omni-Negate and Towers to our end ward. And while I think that is powerful, I don't think it's very consistent, and that's my main issue with it. See, I did consider that even before playing in the last Deckmaster Cup. I considered maybe trying that out, but I didn't want to play any bricks, right? Like, Gaze of Timaeus is going to be a dead draw the majority of the time. So I decided to instead go for Magician's Souls, a card that you've already probably seen played in Snake Eye before. This is because it's not only a level 1 non-tuner body, also making it really good for Yummy, meaning it can link into Link Karibo, and again, the non-tuner aspect meaning it can be used to synchro with Link 1s. It can special summon itself by simply sending a Diabell Star from the deck to the graveyard, and you can also send away stuff like Poplar in your Spell Trap Zone or one of your Field Zone cards in order to draw 2. So there's a lot of advantage that Magician's Souls can provide. It's a card that I already don't mind seeing in my opening hand, making it the perfect search target for the Dark Magician of Destruction. I will say, I didn't actually get to summon the Dark Magician. I think maybe I did one time. I guess we'll see, because I'm going to show you all 9 rounds here. I don't think I summoned this once during the tournament, though. There just aren't a ton of situations in which you will summon Diabell Star and then activate a spell card later, not sending her off the OSS, you know what I mean? Like, usually when you summon Diabell Star, you're going to immediately send her away for the original Sinful Spoils. Really, the most common scenario where you summon the Dark Magician of Destruction is when you activate Wanted during the draw phase to play around Droll. Wanted, search Diabell Star, then you can special Diabell Star, set OSS, then summon Dark Magician of Destruction, add Magician's Souls, then OSS, send a Dark Magician of Destruction to go for Snake Eye Ash, then full combo. But like I said, I think I might have only summoned this one time during the whole tournament. There's not a ton of scenarios where it comes up. That said, yeah, 7-2 is still a really good record, and this deck still has all of the same strengths that it did before. It plays very well into Canine matchups. You can often just use, like, if you open Marshmallow plus any other starter, you can just use the Marshmallow as bait for Izuna. Your opponent will always use Izuna in response to Marshmallow, either to steal it with Nosh Knight, turn it face down with Valen, or go into Ripper. And even if they go into Ripper, as long as you have another one of your starters, you can still full combo even through Ripper, which is honestly insane. So yeah, we're going to take a look at all 9 rounds that I played here. Before we do real quick, I want to actually point out that I'm going to be throwing up some bonus games I played with this deck on Ranked Ladder over on Patreon. Patreon.com/Hexlex. I post videos over there that don't get uploaded to the main YouTube channel. Patreon is all its own exclusive content, and I upload there typically 3 times, if not more, a week. The type of content we usually do on Patreon is reviewing cards as they're being revealed for like OCG and TCG. I show off replays that I don't normally show on the main channel because I don't have time to, you know, like these other Snake Eye Yummy games. And also, another big thing we do is look at dual live games a lot. If any of that interests you, head over to patreon.com/hexlex and check it out. All right, now that that whole spiel is done, let's just go ahead and go straight into the tournament rounds. Like I said, I saved all 9, and we are gonna see all 9 for this video. So, let's see, these 2 were from the previous tournament. So yeah, we're gonna start here. So our round 1 opponent was on Risal Mitserugi, using a smaller Risal package and more of a pure Mitserugi deck, as we've seen and also covered on the channel recently. So yeah, going into this first round, we win this coin flip here, which, I'm not gonna lie, when I'm playing this Snake Eye Yummy deck, if I win the coin flip, I feel like I'm always gonna win that game. I want to go back and see if I've ever lost a going first duel with this deck, because it really doesn't feel like it. Like, there's so many extenders and so many starters in an average opening hand that losing just doesn't feel like an option a lot of the time. Now here we got hit with that turn 1 Fulos, which is certainly not ideal, but thankfully we still are able to set up a lot of plays into the Fulos. They're going to Ash Blossom the Yummy Search, the Cupsy Yummy Search. Totally fine, I already have Surprise in my hand. Not only that, but I'm going to replace the Mignon with the Divine Temple before going into their turn. That way, as soon as they summon, I can go Ash for Poplar for OSS, putting more bodies on board and ensuring follow-up. We also have the Maxi here, but our opponent does have a second Ash Blossom ready for that. So yeah, even though we got hit with Fulos, I mean, we've got the Snatchy plus a monster into the Cookie. We've got the Surprise for the potential Bounce too. I feel like we're in a pretty decent spot here. Our opponent's going to go normal summon Saji, and they're also going to activate that Murakumo that they tributed with the prayers earlier. Here, I am going to use the Divine Temple, as mentioned, to summon out the Snake Eye Ash. So they can add Habakiri and Ritual. We're going to go Snake Eye Ash for Poplar, activating the Poplar effect to special, and then as mentioned, we're going to add an OSS for follow-up. And here I decided to activate the Yummy Snatchy, not going for Cookie Yummy yet, but rather Cupsy. What I want to do is I not only want to get searches, but I also want to be able to get the Cupsy Yummy draw as soon as possible. See if I get like a hand trap or something. So I'll use that in response to the Habakiri activating here. Saji's already been summoned and activated, so I'm not really concerned with what the Habakiri is going to summon here. I'm more concerned with seeing if I can stop the Mitsurugi Ritual. They're going to tribute Wosu, then using the Wosu effect in order to discard to add itself back. Drawing off Cupsy Yummy just turns out to be cross-out designator, so nothing that'll help me this turn. They're going to use Wosu, tribute away the Yummy Snatchy. I'm totally fine with that because I still have Surprise face down. If I feel like I need Cookie Yummy, I can still Surprise Revive Snatchy. I could even do it during the battle phase and then Synchro Summon. But what I'm actually going to do with the Surprise here is when they go for the Murakumo board wipe, I'm going to chain the Surprise in order to bounce their Wosu plus their Murakumo. Yeah, we're going to do that right here. Now, they do get to chain the Magatama that they added, tributing the Murakumo to pop my field spell. And that looks really, really bad, right? However, I wasn't really concerned at all at this point, because they already used the Murakumo search effect when they tributed it from hand off prayers earlier, which means they can't revive Murakumo here, and now I don't have to deal with it anymore, which I'm so fine with. Now they're going to use the Ritual summon from deck, tributing a Habakiri from hand, summon Futsu no Mitama. They already also used Habakiri's effects, so they can't do it again here. And they can't even swing directly with Saji because it was summoned off prayers. Which, as you can see, our opponent's going to concede, realizing that all they have is a Futsu no Mitama going into my hand of 3 Yummy monsters plus OSS. Yeah. This person ended up topping, by the way, so huge shout out to Sino Sales, I think was their username on Discord, but very, very good player, and a very well played game there too. Alright, for round 2, we had a going second game up against K9 Vanquish Soul. I hit a bit of a coin flip losing streak. I think I end up losing the next like 4 coin flips in a row, maybe even 5. I definitely lost the majority of coin flips in this tournament. So we're going second here. We've got Ash Blossom plus Imperm. Our opponent's going to normal summon Izana, dump into Roy, and then pass. Now you'll notice that I did not use Ash Blossom or Imperm at all during my opponent's turn there, which was very intentional. When they went normal summon Izana, I did actually consider Imperming it for a second, but then I realized like, well, the Lupus, if they dump it, won't be able to summon from the graveyard. And even if they do end up being able to make a rank 5 like a Ripper, I'll just Imperm the Ripper instead. So I'm very glad I didn't fire off either of my hand traps here. Alright, they're gonna max C. We're gonna chain Ash Blossom, of course. So now the Lupus that's in their hand is live. Also, when they dumped into Roy, I pretty much figured Lupus had to be in their hand, because there's like no other reason you would dump into Roy there. We're gonna activate Marshmallow Yummy, and sure enough, they're gonna throw out the Lupus. And, I mean, as you can see, we've already got the Diabell Star plus another Cookie Yummy that we could normal summon. This is why you have a really good matchup into Canine Izana pretty much every single time. Not only, like, I was gonna say even if you open Marshmallow Yummy, but honestly, it's especially if you open Marshmallow Yummy. Like, you might think, oh, why not, or why activate Marshmallow if it's the only thing that's gonna make Izana alive? And it's for this exact reason, right? You make Izana alive, they always have to answer the Marshmallow right away, because if they don't, then you can just go full Yummy combo through whatever they summon. And then after they do that, then you can just pop off with whatever else is in your hand. Diabell Star is especially great because even if they turn the Marshmallow face down with Valen, you can still, Diabell Star can send any card face up or down. So you can send away the face down Marshmallow to special Diabell Star, and then it's no longer clogging up your main monster zones. Yeah, so from this point we can just go full Snake Eye combo, and I just knew I had it. Like, even if my opponent's last card is Nibiru, not only would I get Link Spider plus the Poplar in the back row off the temple, but, or I guess in this case, coming up, I would get the Flamberge bodies, but I still have the Cookie Yummy in my hand, which I can still special summon when I go into Link Spider. So, yeah, no matter what they had here, I was just super ready for them. We can even use Flamberge to push back the Nosh Knight, not have to deal with that. Gonna make the Cupsy Yummy way. At this point, I just want to get the Barone on the field before I went into battle phase. Not that I was expecting my opponents to be on stuff like Gores or Battle Fader, but like, I mean, you might, there's no reason not to have the Omni Negate up when your opponent's got a card left in hand, honestly. It's way too easy to lose a duel for no reason. Just swing in when you have exactly 8,000 on board before you have like an extra negate up. And there we go. Swing in for lethal. With the buffed Snake Eye monsters, thanks to the temple. You know, in a lot of Yummy builds, I'm always really hesitant about getting rid of the Mignon. It's also one of the reasons why I typically don't play Acro Kui, even in pure Yummy. But with this deck, I don't have that hesitation because even if Mignon isn't buffing my Yummy monsters, then I have Temple up, which will buff my Snake Eye monsters. Alright, so going into round 3, one of my 2 losses here was against Mitserugi Ursarctic. And our opponent was really cooking here. Some pretty interesting ratios, but a very, very cool deck. Alright, so this is going to be another going second game. And, well, we'll just get into the game itself, and then I'll start talking about it here. Alright, so yeah, going second, I've got Fuwa and Ash Blossom. I'm like, okay, that's not bad. They're gonna go for Mitsurugi Prayers, adding the Habakiri. They're gonna activate Habakiri, we're gonna chain Fula so that they're gonna throw out their Ash Blossom. Which makes sense. Okay, so that gets negated. Now, you'll notice that I am not Ash Blossoming the Habakiri. I typically wait for the Saji, just in case they have access to Saji in their hand, but... So, we negate the Saji with Ash Blossom, and then after that, our opponent's going to tribute the Habakiri, summon this Ursarctic from hand, and then they activate Departure. The discard 1, add 2 Ursarctic monsters. This was the moment when I knew I was cooked. Like, not that I knew what their inboard was going to look like. I actually have no idea how Ursarctic plays. I think this is the first time I've played against this deck in well over a year. And I'm not exaggerating, maybe the second time I've ever played against this deck, period, right? So I didn't know what they were going to do. I just knew as soon as that spell card, the discard 1, draw 2 resolved, I was like, I'm cooked. Like, I am losing this duel. I just knew it was going to happen. And sure enough, they're going to get to, spoiler alert, they're going to draw all 7 cards off the radiation here. It's brutal. They're going to add the Mega Polar here, activating Mega Polar. Now they can start banishing from graveyard instead of tributing. By the way, Mitsurugi Ursarctic is a fantastic combination here for its ability to, of course, tribute the Mitsurugi monsters, letting you search more of them and further enabling the Ursarctic plays. Now, this Ursarctic level 7 Synchro negates the effects of special summoned monsters from the extra deck that don't have a level. That means Snatchy can't activate. Granted, I already have the Mignon in my hand, so it's not that big of a deal here. But they are continuing to get to draw cards off the radiation, and of course all of the quick effects to summon, well, they are quick effects. So here they can summon the Mega Polar and then pop my Minion, as well as continuing to draw cards. Oh, super poly. Yeah, a lot of board breakers from them. I'm like, okay, OSS for Snake Eye Ash. You know what's funny is I was actually really scared of hand traps here, but it was just this Imperm. If it was not for this Imperm, I could have popped off with Snake Eye plays and probably made a pretty significant comeback here. Ugh, but it had to be. It just had to be the one Imperm face down. Wow, this game was a lot closer than I thought it was when I was actually playing it. Again, because they were just drawing so many cards, I just assumed they were holding a grip full of hand traps. I guess to be fair, Nib was the next one, and they could have always summoned the Ursarctic they had in hand to draw 1 card, so they could have drawn into Nib on my turn anyway. But yeah, there just was not a ton I could do here, unfortunately. I'm going to throw the rest of this in fast forward, because they're basically just going to do Mitsurugi plays until they've got lethal on board. I think even past them having lethal on board a little bit, but of course, as I mentioned in that last game, I never fault anybody for, you know, continuing to combo to make sure they have lethal through, you know, negates or whatever. Not even on ranked ladder, but especially in a tournament. And in a tournament, I'm more than fine letting my opponent continue to play, because you never know, they might randomly disconnect. And as much as that would be, like, you know, not the greatest way to get a win, it would still count as a win. So, yeah, I'm going to make them swing in for lethal here, which they are going to do. But a very, very cool deck. I do not mind losing to decks when they are as cool as this one. Super shoutouts to our opponent there. Alright, so this next game, round 4, was actually going to be my other loss, in which we are up against Labyrinth, a very, very trap card heavy build here. Yeah, I'm trying to think. The last time I encountered Lab, it's been quite a while, like even on ranked ladder. So I was a little surprised to see it in a tournament here. Okay, so we've got Droland Ash Blossom. They're going to lead with Pot of Extravagance. I kind of assumed it was Odeon when I saw that. And then, spoiler alert, when they then set 3 back row. I'd say spoiler alert, but you can see it in their hand there. So they're going to set 3 and then pass. Again, I assumed it was Odeon at this point. Drawing for turn, Magician Soul is actually a pretty good draw here. I can cycle out the triple attack and Mignon to try to get some more relevant cards here. My opponent's going to throw out a Max C, though. So I'm going to droll. And then I'm going to normal summon Oak. My plan was to potentially go into... I don't know, I was like kind of thinking about just going straight to Flamberge, honestly. But then they activated the cannon, and I was like, okay, enough of that. So I triple attack to rip the last card in hand, which ended up being big welcome. Glad I did that. Here I'm going to flip up Magician Souls, activate Send Mignon to try to get a draw. They're going to activate Song of the Dominators, which is pretty unfortunate, because now they not only stop that draw, but moreover, they have Impulse with a trap card in the graveyard, too. So that's going to be really rough as far as trying to combo here. So we're going to go Souls into Link Kuriboh. My plan was to then Synchro Summon into Cupsy Way until they flipped up a second Karma Cannon. I was like, ah! One Karma Cannon I can play through. Two, that is another story. So drawing and setting, I actually kind of figured the last card in hand was going to be the Impulse, considering there was no real reason for my opponent to set it here. Because I could have gone Normal Summon Pearlia, activate Oak, and try to go for like Snake Eye Ash, but I knew that I was just going to get hit with Impulse, so I decided to just battle here. But now they have added Ariana, and at this point I just knew the duel was over. Like, it's going to go on for a few more turns here, but yeah. Once we hit this game state, I'm looking at my hand and I'm like, it's just super Jover for us here. Cycled out the Oak for the Link Kuriboh, totally forgetting you couldn't... Like, I should have done that before they declared the attack. Then I could have avoided the damage, but... Because I did it when they declared the attack, I just cost myself like 600 more life points. Not that it's gonna, like, super matter or anything, but... Top deck wanted for OS set, or for a Diabellstar here, so we can try to do something. But no, they're gonna Solemn Warning the Diabellstar. And at this point, it's just super over. But again, I'm also not gonna concede because it's a tournament. And like I said, your opponent might randomly disconnect at some point. And if that does happen, it counts as their loss, so... ... Alright, top deck Lollipo. Unfortunately, it's way too late for that. Even if they didn't have this Imperm face down, I knew they still had the Impulse in hand. Plus, I don't even have Mignon anymore to place off the Snatchy here. Alright, yeah, they're going to Imperm the Snatchy as a means of setting big Welcome Lab off the Lady Lab. But also, I'm at 2100 life points, so they just have Lethal on board already. And that's going to be our second loss. I think the thing that was really rough here was the fact that my two losses were in rounds 3 and 4. Because a record of 7-2 can make top cut, and again, I was only 4 spots away, but if you're going to make top cut with a record of X2, then you have to have your 2 losses later on in the tournament. That way you have better tiebreakers. If even one of those losses was later on in the tournament, I think I would have had a really good shot of making top cut, but it is what it is. Alright. Going second yet again, oops, I should have shown my opponent's deck list. They're on Drac Fire King. And like I said, I was just on a coin flip losing streak here. I'm not too upset though, because I will admit, when I topped, I won a lot of my coin flips during Swizz. And also, I am proud that I went 7-2 in spite of losing so many coin flips during this tournament. Okay, so here I'm going to Draw Phase Perulia them. They're going to Normal Summon the Ponix, and then I'm going to Ash Blossom the Ponix, because I don't want them to have access to the Fire King Island. I saw the Misk here, and I was a little bit scared, but then they just went Megalo Pass. But they can still summon out a Meteor, because with the Megalo effect, they got to dump the Astero. So they do still have a board wipe. I am conscious of that. Thankfully, we have not only Cupsy Yummy, but also Yummy Surprise. That is a huge help when it comes to playing into a board wipe scenario. Alright, so I'm going to Normal Summon Cupsy Yummy. We're going to add Cookie Yummy. And this is where they're going to go for the board wipe here. Banishing Astero and Megalo from the graveyard. That'll let them summon out the Meteor from the extra deck. And then Meteor on summon can destroy all cards, then revive the Tuner. Thankfully, they don't have a Tuner in their graveyard. They just have this Ponix in their hand that'll add the Sanctuary. But we still have the Surprise, so I can revive the Cupsy Yummy from the graveyard, link it, and this opponent did not want to play things through. I'll show their build, though, here. Yeah, here we go. Drac Fire King. Pretty standard stuff, looks like. Okay, this next game was against, like, this style of going second Azamina deck, but they also are actually playing a couple of White Forest cards in here. Also, I'm just assuming it's going second, because I'm seeing like Lightning Storms and Lava Golems and Super Polys and Evenlys. This looks like a deck that would want to play second, but I actually did win a coin flip here. Wonder of Wonders. So, not really sure if they did ultimately intend to go second if they won the coin flip. And yeah, this hand looks phenomenal. Absolutely fantastic. They're going to try to fire off a Max C, but we have the Ash Blossom for that. And the rest of this hand can push through like pretty much any hand trap that they throw at us here. Which thankfully for us is going to be none of them. So this will show you kind of like the standard combo line here without Promethean Princess. We're going to normal summon Snake Eye Ash, add Poplar, special Poplar, Poplar for Divine Temple. Divine Temple is going to play Snake Eye Diabellstar, ideally from deck, but we opened it, so it's going to be from hand here. Now we're going to link Poplar to Link Kribo. Don't activate Poplar. Instead, use Snake Eye Diabellstar to put Poplar in the spell trap. Then send Ash with Poplar. Now you can go Oak Chainlink 1 and then Poplar Chainlink 2. That way you get multiple uses of the Poplar being in the spell trap zone. Oak Revive Ash. Oak Activate. I sent it with Poplar, but you really should send it with the field spell, because that's going to get sent to the graveyard when you activate Minion off Snatchy anyway. But now we can summon out Flamberge. Now link Kribo plus Snake Eye Ash into the Cupsy Yummy Way. Yummy Way is going to add typically Cupsy Yummy plus Marshmallow. But here we already have Cupsy, so we'll just get Cookie. And we're actually going to discard Marshmallow. That way we can potentially get it off Surprise. And then get Surprise back. But we actually don't even need to do that. We're going to go Cupsy Yummy Way plus Flamberge into the Baronne. Flamberge drives Snake Eye Ash and Oak. Now here's where things get a little bit different, because we're not on Prom Princess. I'm going to go Cupsy Yummy into Snatchy. Activate Snatchy, place the Minion. Then I'm going to link Snake Eye Diabellstar plus Oak into IP Masquerena. Now we're going to activate the Minion, revive Cupsy Yummy, Synchro for Lollipo Yummy Way, but you want to specifically put it in the extra monster zone so that way you have room to revive 2 off of its effect. We're going to revive Cupsy Yummy Way and Cupsy Yummy. Now we're going to sync Cupsy Yummy Way plus Snake Eye Ash into the Martial Metal Marcher in the middle monster zone. That way Elf is always pointing to Herald. Martial Metal Marcher revives Cupsy Yummy Way, then synchros with the level 1 Cupsy Yummy to make Herald of the Arclight. And then now you can link Cupsy Yummy Way plus Lollipo into Sprite Elf in the right EMZ so that it's pointing to the Herald and an empty zone. Elf has to point to an empty zone. That way IP has the ability to summon SP to it. Now here they had Super Poly, which is unfortunate, but yeah, that's typically the turn 1 setup I go for in this new build that does not use the Promethean Princess. Even though we lost Herald, that's fine. I can still use Elf to revive Lollipo. We can activate Lollipo ASAP. That way we can not only get a draw off Cupsy Yummy, but now we're set up to summon the Cookie Yummy as well. Alright, so there's our draw. They're going to go for Deception of the Sinful Spoils, Tributing Queen Azamina. I decided to just go ahead and use the Baron de Fleur here. Although, I really probably should have just gone for the Surprise. But I'm not able to target the Mud Dragon. No, that's why I didn't do it. Yeah, that makes more sense. But it didn't really matter. Either way, it's going to be enough to stop them. Okay, what round are we on? This would have been... That was round 6. So this next round was round 7. Opponent is going to be on K9 Vanquish Soul. Lots of Royals, wow. And we're going second. Losing coin flips again. But hey, what can you do, right? Yeah, I think I only won 2 out of 9 coin flips in this tournament. Maybe 3. We'll see. I don't remember. Okay, so they're going to go first. We got Perulia and Fua as well as Imperm here. Love to see that. I'll shotgun draw phase the Perulia here. Perulia, I'm totally fine shotgunning to get the normal summon. But Frulos and Maxi I keep a little closer to my chest. They're going to activate Raisin. I'll go for Imperm here. They're going to chain Caesar Valius though, which is always kind of the gamble you take if you try to Imperm Raisin. Maybe I should have saved Imperm for later. I don't know. But I guess what would I use it on? Holly Sue, where they would still have Valius / Borger in hand, you know? Here I'll definitely want to get the Fulos out before they go into the Rock, which they are still going to make here. It's like they are smelling what the Rock is cooking. Adding back the Caesar Valius, setting Snow Devil, and then passing over to us. Our hand looks phenomenal for comboing. We're going to lead with Marshmallow Yummy. Then we're going to go Rock Summon Raisin. Raisin adds Xiaolong, and then Raisin F reveals Xiaolong and Mad Love to pop the Marshmallow. I'm gonna go triple tack. They're gonna chain Holly Sue, reveal Caesar Valius. And here, at this point, I'm looking at their hand and I'm realizing they have a dark, a fire, and an earth, one of each. If I take away a dark, that'll turn off both of the Holly Sue effects because they both need a dark monster in order to work. And incidentally, I didn't even know Snow Devil was face down, although I could have assumed it. That'll also turn off Snow Devil's board wipe effect as well. So, putting back Mad Love was a pretty easy pick there. Also turns off Valius's effect, so I'm definitely thinking about that too. I'm gonna go Bonfire for Poplar here. Normally I would Bonfire for Snake Eye Ash, but I have Oak in my hand that I could normal summon, so I'm gonna go for Poplar instead. Gonna go Poplar into Link Kuriboh. Not activating Poplar yet, that way I can normal summon Oak and revive it. I'm gonna Oak send Poplar in order to summon out Flamberge. I actually did not mean to activate... No, I didn't activate Poplar here, never mind. I thought I did for some reason. Okay, they're gonna go summon Valius, bouncing Holly Sue. They can make Valius unaffected, which I think they are gonna do here. But yeah, now we can summon the Snake Idea Bellstar off the field spell rather than its own effect. Special Cupsy Yummy, sync with the Link Kuriboh to go for Cupsy Yummy Way, which can now activate. Gonna add Marshmallow and Lollipop. We can just discard Marshmallow because we've already used it. And then we're gonna sync with the Flamberge to make our Baron de Fleur. So now I'm no longer scared of whatever the face down card is. I still was thinking in the back of my mind it could be like an Imperm or something, even though I assumed it was probably just Snow Devil. But either way, we don't really have to worry about it anymore. Now we're gonna set up the Yummy Snatchy. Snatchy F, gonna place the Mignon. And then we're gonna sync into the Lollipop Yummy Way using Link Kuriboh plus Poplar. Now we can chain block the Lollipop with the Poplar. There's Poplar, Lollipop F. Summon out Lollipop and Marshmallow from Graveyard. I went to barrel and target the Valius here because I don't think they've actually activated the Valius effect yet. Or maybe they did. I'm just being... No, there it is. Okay. I was not being dumb, as I was about to say. Yeah, I wanted to force the Valius effect just to get it over with, honestly, more than anything else. I was like, I know you're going to activate it, just do it. I guess I should have just gone for the Raisin anyway, right? That would have been smarter. It didn't really matter, though, because I just had Lethal on board. I mean, if we check, I have 17,000 damage on board. I am not concerned about finding Lethal here. And besides, even if I didn't have Lethal, I literally know the contents of their hand. It's Fua Holly Sue, which is definitely not enough to push through this on its own. Alright. 2 more rounds to go. This round 8, second to last round, was the only time I played against Draco Tail the whole tournament. Oh, I didn't even know they were rocking the 5 Rainbow Magician. Oh, because they're on the branded build. I see. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, so I did win one more coin flip here. Alright, going first against Draco Tail. That's definitely how I prefer going against Draco Tail with this deck. I feel like Draco Tail is probably still one of your tougher matchups. Not as bad as trying to play pure Yummy into Draco Tail. That is just brutal, but still not always ideal. However, this hand is pretty ideal because I'm going to get to full combo here, and as you can see, our opponent doesn't have any hand traps or anything. So yeah, this will be another good example of showing off the full Snake Eye combo without Flamberge. Which, again, really is pretty much the same as the last combo line. It's just a matter of, rather than going IP into Flamberge, popping with Baron, then making the Snatchy, you make Snatchy, then IP, and then basically you get to add and then discard a Marshmallow off Cupsy Yummy Way, because you don't actually need the extra body. And even if you did need it, you could still get it by going Surprise, Special Marshmallow, Marshmallow, add back Surprise. It's just that this combo line is so efficient, you actually just don't need that body. which is insane, honestly. Somebody in my latest video about this deck asked me if I thought this was the best Yummy variant, like better than Mitsurugi or Sulfur. I've never played Sulfur Yummy because I don't own the URs, and I've only played Mitsurugi Yummy for like maybe 10 games total, so I don't have nearly as much experience with those as this. I do think this build is definitely better than Pure Yummy. Personally, Pure Yummy is a little bit better now that you can add Izuna. But I think this build is really, really slept on. I think it is about as good as Mitsurugi and Sulfur Yummy, if not a little bit better. I wanna say it's a little bit better, but again, I can also acknowledge that I would be pretty biased if I did. Especially given my lack of experience with other variants, compared to how much I've played with this one. Yeah, this variant, though, is like... people are just sleeping on it so hard. Like, it's like I said in the last tournament report, like, Snake Eye is at full power again, and even if you don't have Appaloosa to go into, you can just go into Yummy, which is a tier 1 strategy. Like, it seems really obvious to me, but I just don't see this variant around a lot, like, at all. Okay, they're gonna go normal summon Malulu. They threatened to go to battle phase here. I should have let them. That was a misplay I made here. Rather than reviving off of Elf and trying to go into SP Little Knight at the end of their main phase, what I should have done is I should have let them go to battle phase, then activated Lollipo. Oh, but I can't activate Lollipo because they haven't activated an effect. Never mind. Okay. Yeah, okay, never mind. I think I did it right here. For some reason, I thought I had the ability to just tag out Lollipo whenever I wanted, but no. They would have just battled over Herald if they did it that way. Now, granted, they were still able to use Malulu to negate Herald here. Yeah, like that, because the Malulu negate effect does not target. So Elf can't protect it there. That's one of the reasons why I was not super crazy about Elf IP, or not Elf IP, Elf Herald, when in Pure Yummy, when the deck first came out, is because that's a negate that's going to affect your Herald a lot, and Elf doesn't help against it, but that actually does not really end up mattering here. Well, it almost did. You'll see, you'll see. They're going to go Pan, we're going to chain Lollipo. Even if they pop the Snatchy here, that's fine with me, because I could still use Surprise in order to revive it. But they actually used it on the Cupsiumi, so I wouldn't get the draw. That was a little surprising, but I'm like, that's fine. Same with battling over Elf here. That's totally fine. End phase, I'll use the Yummy Surprise in order to revive the Marshmallow Yummy. I do really wish I had 2 Yummy monsters on board. Oh, to be able to bounce 2 of those back rows in the end phase would have been so good. Okay, they're going to go for Horn, Bounce, Barrel, and Diffler. I'm going to take advantage of this opportunity to go Little Knight and bounce out the Golemel. Then I don't have to deal with the pop or the body. Alright, now here we're going to activate Mignon for Cupsy. Activate Cupsy for Marshmallow. Now, I assumed at this point, because I actually activated that Mignon to test for Flame, and they did not chain Flame. So my thought process here was like, okay, the last face down isn't Flame, it must be like a call by or something weird like that. Well, it wouldn't be call by because they would have chained that too. Maybe a cross out or something, I don't know. So regardless, when they flipped up Sting, which I already knew they had, I was like, okay, I'll Ash Blossom that to stop them from drawing. I went to swing in, then they special summoned to Magnum Hut. And then chained Flame. Very, very good play on my opponent's part. Trying to negate the Mignon during the battle phase and stopping me from OTKing. Unfortunately for them, this is the perfect opportunity for Yummy Surprise third effect to come up. Yes, this is the first time I've ever activated the third effect of Yummy Surprise, and it's clutch here. Because Flame targets a spell card on the field and negates it. Because that's the case, if I activate Surprise in order to put the Mignon in my hand and then put it back onto the field, the Flame is no longer targeting it, meaning my monsters are going to remain buffed because it's not going to get negated. So that was a clutch round 8. Just getting to use a Surprise third effect for lethal there is so good. Alright, final round. Oh, I did win this. Okay, so I won more coin flips than I thought. I just lost a bunch in a row where it really mattered here in the mid stretch, which was unfortunate. But, okay, this last round was against Snake Eye Fire King, a classic. Somebody else recognizing that the Snake Eye package is at full power. And yeah, we do get to go first here. Dang, if only I could have had that luck a little bit sooner in the tournament, but ah well. Coulda, woulda, shoulda. It is what it is, and like I said, I am still fairly proud of how I did. Okay, they're gonna throw out the Fulo, so we're gonna use Ash Blossom against that. And even though they've got a couple of their hand traps, a hand like this is going to more than be able to push through them, as you're about to see. We're gonna go Special Summon Marshmallow. They didn't do anything in response to that, so I'm gonna keep going into Yummy plays. If I open like Marshmallow plus, you know, Snake Eye plays and I'm baiting out with Marshmallow, if they don't actually respond to the Marshmallow, I'll just keep doing Yummy plays up to the point where I have Herald, and then I'll start doing Snake Eye stuff. Okay, so they use Imperm on Snatchy. We can still Special Summon Cupsy Yummy Way. Search Surprise, Summon Cupsy Yummy Way. Going for a Lollipop plus Marshmallow. We can discard the extra Marshmallow. And then we're going to Synchro for the Martial Metal Marcher. Going to activate Metal Marcher effect, and that's where they're going to throw out the Impulse. Which will not only negate the Metal Marcher, but also destroy it. I was a little bit worried about more hand traps here. A little bit, but actually I realized after summoning the Diabellstar, I was like, wait a second. Even if they have Nib as one of the last two cards in hand, I still have Surprise with Marshmallow in the graveyard. So even in that scenario, I could still go Link off the token for Link Spider, Surprise for Marshmallow, add back Surprise, and then make Lollipop Yummy Way and still end on some stuff. But nope, they just have two starters as their last couple of cards, so we're able to pop off with full Snake Eye combo, which will, as you well know, end up circling back into full Yummy combo. Alright, so here's Oak for Ash, and then we can send away the field spell for the Flamberge. And then we're going to Synchro for Lollipop Yummy Way this time, because we've already made the Cupsy Yummy Way. Lollipop Revive Cupsy plus Marshmallow. Then I'm going to make the Elf. And then we can make the Baron de Fleur. We're going to go Flamberge F in order to get our Snake Eye bodies. We can turn two of those, the Snake Eye Ash plus Diabellstar, into the IP Masquerena. And then not only do we get to go Elf Revive Lollipop Yummy Way, I can even add Link Kuriboh to the end board for some battle protection as well. Setting Surprise and then passing over to our opponent. Alright, they're going to go Normal Summon Ulcanix. I'm going to fire off Lollipop Yummy Way just to get my Cupsy draw and have my materials ready to go into Cookie Yummy whenever I need to. So Ulcanix will pop the Ulcanix in hand in order to add the Fire King Garunix. They're going to go Ulcanix Chainlink 1, I'll go Cupsy Yummy Chainlink 2, chaining the Yummy Snatchy. They're then going to chain the Garunix, which I am going to negate and destroy with Baron de Fleur, because new Garunix actually does not have any effects that activate if it itself gets destroyed. So we're going to negate and destroy that. And then now that they have their two monsters up, I'm going to go into the Cookie Yummy Way and turn their stuff face down. So that way they can't make a rank 8 or they can't link these, whatever they're planning on doing. Yeah, with Snake Eye Ash being the last card in their hand, there's not much else they can do at this point. I'm going to go End Phase Surprise for Marshmallow, add back Surprise, and then we can just use Surprise in order to bounce the two face down monsters rather than destroy them, and lethal should be fairly easy to find from there. I actually misclicked by activating the Elf. I meant to summon the Marshmallow that was in my hand, but because I used Elf, I now have to go into Lollipop Yummy in order to have enough damage on board. Not a big deal, but I just wanted to point out why I did that. Yeah, the elf effect was a total misclick there. But there we go. That was my last round win, and that led me to the 7-2 finish. Again, we ended up in 20th place, which, while was outside of top 16, like I said, I'm actually still pretty proud of this finish here. 8-2 was my record last time, so pretty much on par with that, making the total tournament record for Snake Eye Yummy, for me, 15-4, which I'm not gonna toot my own horn here, but like 2-2, that's pretty good. that is not too shabby. That is pretty much an 80% win rate in tournament play for a deck like this. That is, I think, really slept on. Honestly, I think that's pretty solid. Yeah, I think Yummy in general kind of gets a little bit too much flack right now. Because I see comments every now and then of like, oh, Yummy's on Fraud Watch. It's not nearly as good as, Canine Vanquish or Draco Tail. And it's like, well, lest we forget that Draco Tail had no hits coming in. Canine Vanquish Soul lost a couple of consistency cards, but nothing that changed the strategy. Whereas Yummy had major hits to both Yummy cards and other engine stuff before it even came into the game, right? So Yummy is having to play a little bit of catch up here, but it's definitely underrated and definitely the Snake Eye variant. I don't see anybody talking about it, and I think it is one of the best ways to play this deck. Alright, I think it's going to go ahead and pretty much do it for this video. Thank you all so very much for watching. As always, I super appreciate you. And we're going to make sure to give an extra special thanks to our YouTube members and Patreon subscribers. Hey everybody, Hexlex here. Thank you so very much for watching all the way to the very end of the video, which by the way is one of the best ways to support the channel. Speaking of supporting the channel, take a look at the names on screen. These are folks who have been so generous as to either join as a YouTube member or subscribe over on patreon.com/Hexlex to support. There's also perks for doing so. If you would like to see YouTube videos early, as well as some exclusive videos that get uploaded to YouTube, but for one reason or another I decide not to publish, definitely go ahead and hit that join button to see content early, as well as some exclusive content. If you're looking for more exclusive content, over on patreon.com, I upload exclusive videos that are not posted on YouTube just about every single day. Whether you choose to subscribe over on Patreon, join as a YouTube member, or simply continue to watch, your support is greatly appreciated. Thank you so very much. But for now, this is Hexlex. I am signing out, and I hope that you have a fantastic day.